Is it good? Question that's on the thumbnail. Simple answer to that question is yes. Night Ops for Gray Zone is very good, and we're going to get into why and how it's so good. So before you discredit me and say, hey, he got early access to the game, he's not going to say anything negative about the game. I've been critical of the game before, and I just want to let that be known. But I know the biggest issue for a lot of people that's going to turn people right around if it wasn't good is AI, and I can attest to this. It is so much better. Now, it is nowhere near perfect. They're not like super intelligent. Like, obviously, it's a work in progress, but they are a lot smarter than they were before. Every single time that I died in a firefight was because of like me being exposed out in the open or a mistake that I made. It wasn't because of some crazy aimbot aim. What's nice is what I noticed. I was playing with Ty Plays. If you know him, he's a CM and sets up a lot of community events. We were playing in the starter town. We had to like methodically think about where we were going. We had to call out people, and we had to be careful about what we were doing. It's because they're intelligent, not because they're aimbots. There were several times that I was walking across like different ravines and stuff like that, and I was getting shot like through windows because they were smart enough to like be patrolling out the window, see someone out the window, and start shooting at them, which in my opinion is awesome. And it wasn't like they saw me out of the window and then they instantly headshot me either. There wasn't any instance where I felt like I was cheated by the game like you might have been before. It is very, very nice. Another thing that I want to talk about the AI is like if you would shoot an AI out in a field, they wouldn't get behind like quote unquote invisible cover out in a field. They would just try to shoot you because they're obviously out in a field and there is no cover. But if there was cover, if you guys remember the house at the rat's nest, I'll try to get that exact clip where I can actually show them running behind cover while this is playing. When you'd shoot at them, they would actively try to get behind cover because it was there. There was never an instance where they tried to get behind cover that wasn't there. They only got behind cover when it was there, which was super nice to see. And like I said, I was getting shot through windows across like buildings and stuff like that because they could see, they were elevated enough to see on the other side of that wall and then shoot me. It was super cool. I never got like one tap dome from like Antarctica or something like that. It was super refreshing. I think you guys are going to enjoy it so much more, and it's going to be like a more refreshing rather than you getting pissed off about it. I think it's going to be, they're harder because they're more intelligent. They're not harder because of their aim. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. Another thing that I want to talk about, a guy by the name of Good Boy. I don't know if he's involved very much in the community. I just didn't know first time I ever met him, but I was trying to explain to him how my frames got better. So optimization has got better. A bunch of people that I talked to said it was like 6%. It got better for me, but because of a setting that he told me about. So if you run DLSS on, like, I have a 3080 Ti, and usually when I would run DLSS, I couldn't get FSR or Fidelity frame gen. So I was only at 80 FPS, and show these different clips, what it looks like versus 80 FPS versus me getting like around 140. So the reason for this is because there's frame generation, there's Fidelity frame generation with DLSS. So you can get the good quality, but there's also frame gen. So I was running like 140 FPS on the base, which is like absurd to what I was doing before. So if you have lower graphics cards, it's auto enabled. So I'd say a lot of you that have like 30 series cards will see a really big boost just because you're able to frame gen with the DLSS upscaling, stuff like that. But if you don't, if you're just using like regular, you're not upscaling or downscaling, whatever it is, you're going to see a little bit of improvement. I saw about 10 frames, I would say, without the frame gen itself. So there is optimization there. It didn't get worse, which I know a lot of people would worry about adding all these things and then it getting even harder to run. That's not the case. It actually got better. It didn't like exponentially get better, but it did get better. And that's a great thing to see. Another thing that I believe that was really important to the community as well as myself is like hit registration. So they talked about the improved ballistics and stuff like that. Definitely 100% improved. If you would hit somebody with soft point and they are unarmored, you could hit them once, twice, done. It is amazing. Usually you'd have to sit there and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. Also, what's very nice, and we've already seen this from the screen, but I'll pop up the screen just for people that haven't seen it. When you shoot somebody, it'll show you where you hit them. And then not only that, it'll show you how they died. So it's very cool. You can see where you hit them, how they died, what happened. Soft point rounds in the starter town are very OP because they don't have armor and it shows, and you can confidently shoot somebody once or twice in vital organ areas and they will drop. It is extremely refreshing to see that. Guys, if you are enjoying the video and want to keep up with Gray Zone news and content, also I'm going to be making guides for this game as well with an Night Ops update. Consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. Another hot button topic was helicopters. Helicopters have been improved so much. It's crazy. You call one in, you have this screen, it shows where all the different helis are at or what they're doing. The call to get a heli in is like 30 seconds. And if you go to a nearby landing zone, it's probably a minute and a half. It is super, super fast in comparison to what it was. No more going to Hunter's Paradise and waiting, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes plus for birds in the air. You can literally click on your map and you can see what every single heli is doing, so you can see if it's busy or not. And when you do get one, it's super fast because it comes from each side of the map rather than coming straight from the base. Super, super convenient. Also, we already know about this, but for people that don't, you can use your headset and mute it when you're on the helicopter so it's not extremely annoying. I have a mixer so I can just turn it down. This is a much needed quality of life and they nailed it. Missions have been slightly tweaked, so they're just a tad bit different. Some of them are the same, but some of the earlier quests are slightly different. Some of them are different. Like, for example, when you have to mark the bodies, there is actually a different location to one of those. I'm going to have guides for the ones that have changed. So if you want to tune in for that, I will have guides for those. But the missions are slightly changed. The interior for Town Hall is awesome. Being able to go in there and snoop around and see all that kind of stuff. The rare loot is easier to find than you think. So it is rewarding to find. It's not like it's every single building or every single this or that, but it is available widespread. And I heard from Ty and friends that I played with that it seems more prevalent in the higher location areas. You'll be able to find it in the starter town for sure to make some easy cash. I also want to give you a heads up for all the LZs. We've seen them, but to be actually physically in the game and then them not changing at all. I got this from Martonic. I'm going to leave a link to his website in my description if you guys want to go check out his website. He's a super cool guy. He's beat the game like 972 times. If anybody knows anything about the game, he does. So thanks to Martonic for being able to give me that. So here are the LZs for all those locations. One thing that I was surprised about, and it's not disappointing at all. I don't think it's disappointing whatsoever, but I have different settings. So my game's going to look a little bit more vibrant and bright in comparison to your all's, probably because I just have NVIDIA settings that enhance those things. But I was even talking to several people I was playing with that I got early access to the test. They seemed that it didn't seem like you needed to use night vision at night. It seemed like it was almost bright enough to be able to just use a flashlight just in case you needed it. But the night vision really wasn't necessary if you didn't want to use it. So I feel like it could have been darker. That's one of the only critiques I really have of the game. It's not even critique. I feel like that's maybe preference. I mean, obviously, if you're going to have night vision in the game, you'd think you'd be able to use it. I use the highest tier one, the white ones, and it just seemed like it was almost more of a hindrance to use because it was just so bright. But that's the only downside of the whole game. When I was playing it, I enjoyed it. I was thoroughly just impressed by how much better the game feels and is and works, and the quality of life is all just great. I do want to end on a tip for you people that did stay around because I appreciate you. There is a setting that they did add that it expedites helicopters. And what I mean by that, so like say if the helicopter landed and everybody's on it and you're like, why are we still waiting here? You can actually press L and the helicopter will take off. So that's one quick tip for people that stayed around and watched the whole video. I do appreciate you. With that being said, guys, I'm Jones and I'm out. Peace.